some of those values help you related to dealing with black issues? Because we understand from the nation and your experience being now Sunni Muslim coming to the religion, how do you use those experience now dealing with the social issues that black people are going through? Because there's a lot of African American Muslims who have a problem with their identity of being black. I give you example. We have some of our brothers and sisters who do not associate with being black, and they might, become Muslim and start talking with an accent like they from Arab side or Asian. I hear people say this all the time, right? And I have seen it before. But I'm from New York, so the African American Muslims have their own little culture in New York. But I have seen this. So some of us we're fighting with our identity, and we try to have other people's identity, right? The Arab identity or the Asian identity. And this is where I find sometimes some of the Muslims in the African American community don't talk about black issues or fix them. They have some of the attitudes of the racist Muslim. They pick them up. So how do you deal with that or use your experience growing up? Because your experience with your father, with the nation, and you coming Sunni Muslim, all those experience make who you are today. All right, you might not see it, you might not notice it, but it's part of who you are today. Like when I was a child, my mother took me, I was a kid, to see Malcolm X in the movies. My mother's a Christian, right? Me seeing that movie, Malcolm X, by Spike Lee, that movie directly and indirectly influenced my thinking as a child. I remember when I came out the movie theater, I told my mom outside the movie theater, how we be Muslim? And she said, oh, we're Christians, we believe this, and Muslims believe that. But man, I didn't care about what she had to say. I liked the image. I liked when I seen the movie Malcolm X in front of the precinct with all the Negroes lined up, the police scared. As a kid, I didn't see that in the streets. I didn't see that in all white schools learning Eurocentric ideas. When I seen that in the movie by Spike Lee, that movie influenced me directly and indirectly as a child. I was probably in my pre-teens when that movie came out. And that movie influenced me, even though I wasn't Muslim, it influenced me to have an interest about Islam. Despite the Arabs in my neighborhood who was selling pork and lotto tickets and all the things to get high with, despite some of the Indian Muslims being racist towards blacks and Asian Muslims, man, despite all of that, I still came to Islam. But that movie influenced me, even today, me as a person, and influenced this channel. That's why I have Malcolm X in the picture in the background, right? It influenced even this channel, influenced, I learned Islam myself traveling to the Muslim land. I lived in Egypt for a couple of years. I speak Arabic language. I've been married to an Arab for about 11 years. I have children and everything. And those experiences make me who I am today. So now, despite all the self-hate, which I did have, right? At a particular time, as a Muslim, as a Sunni Muslim, learning Islam, working in multiple culture masjids, right? Seeing people take positions against the black peoples, or I see masjids that are non-black in black neighborhoods and they care nothing about the people in the neighborhood, and I participated in that, right? Self-hate, but our experience make who we are. One day something clicked in my head, woke me up, man, nah, man, I'm gonna take Islam to empower my peoples. Our peoples need it. So some of those experiences with your father, with the nation, with your mother, with that brother from Bosnia becoming Sunni Muslim, and who you are today, or what you're trying to do and what you're actually doing, all the experience in the past make who you are today. It's very good, your story, how you became Muslim, how you work with the nation. You shouldn't be ashamed about that, right? Because I have met some Muslims who came out of the Nation of Islam, despite their beliefs. I have met Muslims who came out of the War of Deen community. Despite some of the things that go on in the War of Deen community, they have some black consciousness with them. When I look at some of them today who have experience of being Muslim and they came out of the nation and they became Sunni Muslims, I find some of them, when it comes to black consciousness, black people working together, ethno aggregation, working together as a black community, they have no problems doing that. I don't have to explain to them guys like 2 or 3 times, hey, we need to do something. I can tell them one time, us as black people need to do, Muslims need to do something. But those who didn't come up from the nation, who became Muslim, who didn't come off the War of Deen community and came to really traditional Sunni Islam, who didn't come from the War of Deen community, who didn't come out the nation, like myself, a lot of us, we become Muslim and we have some of these attitudes, negative attitudes and misbehavior towards black people. So those experiences that you grew up with the nation, despite the nation being upon falsehood, those experiences did warp you into who you are today with the nation and with the Sunni brother you met from the Baz. They make who you are, right? So alhamdulillah, brother, what I have seen is very good. I read your bio, I read your website. I know what type of person I'm speaking to. Alhamdulillah, you're a very good brother and you're young. A lot of our young people your age have not reached the level where you're at today. When I'm talking about knowing about self. A lot of our brothers still don't know about self. I have brothers who got black, like me and you, got college degree, and have anti-black sentiment with them, who are Muslim. And I'm 44 years old. I have brothers around my age, a little younger, and your age, and they take positions against black people. And they would say, oh, they just kuffar. They would go and see the Arabs, Yemeni, I live in New York, Yemeni in the corner store selling all this stuff to black people, and they would say, oh, these black people, they kuffar. So what? They kuffar.
Yeah,
all right?
It's not Islam.
We see this, brother. We see this. We know that. There's a lot of black people who hold, Muslims who hold these attitudes, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm telling you, your experience, the nation, you coming to Sunni Muslim, all that makes you who you are today. That's a lot of people have not reached your level. I'm letting you know that right now.
You know, so even my mother, you know, my mother attended a very pro-black church. It's actually it became a famous church, Jeremiah Wright, the Trinity Church. It became famous because, you know, Jeremiah Wright took a very antagonistic stance against, you know, America, the American government, and what they're doing to black people, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. But that whole tradition, that whole African American tradition of speaking truth to power, of standing up against oppression, that's a part of our tradition as Muslims. When you speak about, I mean, let's be blunt, the Nation of Islam has produced the most significant African American Sunni Muslims of the 20th century. We're talking about Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, who are responsible for so many, first in giving Muslims courage to be Muslims, to be convicted in their stance about Islam and the truth of Islam. So certainly, you know, everyone has their different journeys to Islam.